Wednesday night, Kia's heads itself to Donington Park, and what a track, what a setting for this edition of Racespot TV Primetime. This track embodies BTCC touring car racing like nowhere else, and we are live here at Donington as we kick off Racespot TV Primetime on iRacing Live after this. Since 2010, the highest echelon of sim racing competition has focused on NASCAR and Grand Prix racing. 50 of the best drivers in the world doing battle for championship glory, each man for himself. And even though there may be teammates on track, each driver is in command of his own destiny. Until now. 2016 sees the start of a new era in World Championship competition, with team racing getting its chance in the spotlight. No longer can one driver rule supreme, but you must rely on those with whom you share a car, a setup, a strategy. Endurance racing can be very different to other forms of motorsports, with races in this series lasting either 3 or 6 hours. Teams of 2 or 3 drivers, perhaps on opposite sides of the world, will share seat time, each having to collectively work towards one common goal. Crash out, and it's not just you who you let down. Officially sanctioned by SRO, it will be teams of drivers who will go head to head, car to car, rival to rival, in the pursuit of a championship. And there's over $25,000 in cash and prizes up for grabs. Some of the world's biggest sim racing teams are represented. There's also a group of teams who haven't seen this stage before, who want to make their mark and say we can hang with the best. The team racing revolution is here. It's loud, it's exciting, and it lives on iRacing Live starting April 23rd. We are less than 72 hours away from the start of the 2016 Blancpain GT World Endurance Championship, but first, we have ourselves 3 fantastic Racespot TV Primetime events coming your way over the next 3 nights, and we start with this Wednesday night Kia's from Donington Park. As you can see here, track conditions, it's cool, it's humid, and it is windy, and that is exactly what we like to see here today. We are due for some fantastic racing over the course of the next 30 minutes here on Racespot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. Hello again, friends. Will Vincent filling in also for the one and only Johnny Simone tonight. Basically, Johnny needs some sleep, so we're letting him get himself tucked into bed, little bottle of milk, and he will be okay. So you've got me and me only for this event. Qualifying is already underway. As you can see, left hand side of your screen, they are the times as it stands, and this driver is looking to potentially move himself closer to the top of the timing stands and extend his lead, but he's not going to do so. He'll pull on towards pit road. Dylan Trepleski then heading himself past the start finish line. What can he do? Was in P number 5. He moves himself up into P number 4 on track as well. There you can see the driver of Robin Austin, and there you can see the driver of Daniel Craft. We ride on board with him then as he's on to his second lap, heading himself through the turn. That is Corn McLean's in towards Coppers. Coppers, of course, is the corner that you see both at Silverstone and Donington Park. And actually, Donington was once due to host the British Grand Prix. It has once hosted a Formula One race. It was 1993. It was a race that, if nothing else, ever did, solidified Ayrton Senna's career as one of the best. Daniel Craft, past the start-finish line, was in P number 6, crosses the stripe, and he will be in P number 4. He moves up, and he moves Chaplewski back down into P number 6. Austin up 1 spot as well. Nathan Davies, number 17 machine, he heads himself down to the final couple of corners in that number 17 car. Out the final corner, he will come. Was P number 17 past the stripe, and he goes faster as well, and he'll move himself though up to P number 13. Now we've got ourselves Kip Stevens. He needs to circulate himself and get himself his first flying lap of the day. He's got 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Let's listen on board with him. There you can see number 13 machine running himself in P number 18. A couple of drivers haven't yet scored themselves qualifying time. Stevens is 1. Paul Smith is 1. Let's check in then with Paul Smith very quickly. There you can see the number 21 machine heading himself out the final corner right about now towards the start-finish line. Where will he put himself after his first flying lap? Well, he's just about to start one. He should get back on time there, so he should be a-okay then. Let's go back to Kip Stevens. He just sets himself his first qualifying time, and it is gonna be good enough only for P number 18 for him. So he does a lap, doesn't improve his time, has one more chance to try and go a little bit faster. That means we can now turn our attention back to this driver. It is Paul Smith. He's trying to work himself up through the field, and that number 21 machine currently scored 21st in qualifying, has not set himself a lap here today. There we can see he now works himself on the exit of McLean, short straight away in towards Coppers before he comes down to Starkey Straight. From there on in, we don't do the S's, we don't do the Melbourne hairpin here today. We go immediately into the S's the opposite way, and then the exit of Goddard's. And Paul Smith, right-hander, left-hander, high sausage curbs, they will be a factor in this event. Smith then past the start-finish line. He does a 108.763, and that will put him up into the top 10, and he won't, though, have enough time to improve on that one. That is going to be his one and only lap. Benjamin Gregory has just completed both of his 2 laps. He's stored in P number 11, and Kip Stevens then past the stripe second time around up into P number 13. So Stevens, late on in qualifying, is able to move himself up just a little bit and get himself a slightly better result in qualifications. Let's then run through your starting grid for this evening's event here on RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. And Michael Shellback there for Club Diat leads away. 1 Diat driver in your top 4. And, well, the rest are all Club UK and Ireland. It's David Baker, Ross Balfour, and then Daniel Craft. They are your top 2 rows here today. And then behind, you'll see it is Robin Austin in P number 5, and Celine Chaplewski in P6, Alexander Shlomensky in P7, and Colin Cunniff in the 8th position. We cycle it on back. 21 drivers here today will be doing the rounds at Donington Park, and as ever, this is a timed race. These guys will have 25 minutes, as many laps as it takes, and you'll notice really we'll get ourselves close to about 19, maybe 20 laps into this one, if we are lucky. Let's rest your field. I want to give a shout out to Dan Blake in the number 16 machine. Had to go to hospital today because he walked into a garage, or a garage walked into him. Something like that. Saw it on Facebook. Dan, give a shout out to you for that. And they can see the remainder of your field then up on your screen. Are you ready for a little bit of primetime racing? Because it's coming your way right now here on RaceSpot TV. These guys then have got themselves 1 more minute to head themselves down to the starting grid for this one. And there you can see at the front of your field the guy that you need to pay attention to, that number 2 machine. Can he hold the lead for the start of this event? And will he then be able to maintain that one through what is a very fast racetrack for all intents and purposes. So he'll need to make sure that the draft doesn't get to him. And this is one track also, by the way, that course cutting will be critical. It's a bit like MSA rules here. If you go onto the grass or use the curbs too much, you will have to take a slowdown penalty, and it can really ruin your race. So it's something that you should pay attention to. You don't want it to come late in the race. You don't really want it at all, but if you did have it, you'd rather have it early then. Here come the lights, looking for lights out here at Donington. Lights are on, lights are out, we go racing. 25 minutes on the play clock. Guys, down in towards turn number 1 for the first time. It was a good start there by the driver of Shellback out front, and then a little bit free wide racing. Down in your pack, through turn number 1. Oh, we got a car sideways. Rear view field, and Daniel Craft looking as though actually he's not in this race anymore. So maybe he's just starting it from pit road. There you can see he starts the race from pit road. Everyone else does survive the first couple of corners. They work themselves through the crane curves into the old hairpin for the first time. On board with their number 3 machine. Big wiggle, 2 cars off there. And that is going to be the driver of Ruth Garcia is one of them. There we can see the number 9 Hispar and Manica car. We also had another driver involved in that one. We'll get yourselves a quick second look at that one. As Garcia, this was out in the excellent crane curbs through the old hairpin. We'll look at it from above because there was a lot of racing going on there. And it seemed to be that there was a couple of chain reaction moves that caused this one to happen. Garcia lost it there all by himself, but he did have yourself another incident. We'll try and pick it up if we can. I don't think we can, unfortunately, but we had 2 other cars off. We'll update you on it as we can, because Shellback currently leads away in this motor race, but he's got himself a little bit of battling going on right now, as the driver of Ross Balfour is right behind him. In towards turn number 1 they come. Ticker running along the top of your screen, and don't forget, you can keep in contact with us at RacebotTV/RacebotTV if Facebook is more of your thing. Shellback to Balfour is currently half a second as it stands right now, and they see a little bit of weakening. The high wind speeds there proving a factor, and here comes Balfour round the outside. Would have himself a good run as they work themselves through Starkey's Bridge in towards McLean. Ladies and gentlemen, Ross Balfour will move himself to the front of this motor race as Michael Shellback has a wiggle on the exit of the old hairpin, but Shellback coming back then immediately as they work themselves now through Coppis, and this is going to really start bunching the field up. You can see behind, Senan Trepleski is right there behind. We've got a couple of cars all scrapping it out for positions behind as well. We'll show you that one in a moment, because Balfour is going to lose the race lead there and get a tag on the exit of the final corner. That will allow Trepleski to go past. He's up into second place right now as they come down towards the start-finish line. And behind, we've got a car turnaround, and that's the driver of Steve Hefford. And that is down on the exit of the S's. Second look then at that one as they work themselves through that sequence of corners. We're on board then with the driver of Steve Hefford. And there's the 2 guys that we saw going off. It was all navigating themselves on track. There was a number 20 machine there, Aldo Massa, was involved in that one as one other. And then as they head themselves down towards start-finish line, a free wide moment in towards the S's. And as it stood there, Hefford just being turned around into the tyre barriers. And that is his day done. As Shamensky will go back to live pictures there. He goes side by side with the driver of Paul Smith. Where has Paul Smith come from in this event? He is having himself a fantastic day right now. He has worked himself up 6 places already, scrapping it out with Shamensky for another one. But it's 2-wide racing. Every time you go 2 wide at this racetrack, it does mean that you allow the pack around you to really close up. And it's a track where momentum is absolutely everything. Down to the S's, your field comes. There we are, down towards start-finish line again. Fast up today is set by that number 1 machine, who now runs himself in second place. He has been able to clear Ross Balfour. Of course, we saw that one down at the S's the last lap. Balfour wasn't able to return the favour as we go on board right now with Trepleski. And this is the stage of the motor race. That number 1 machine needs to be patient. Doesn't want to get himself an unnecessary slowdown penalty. Otherwise, he could well put himself into a world of difficulties, having to re-navigate himself through the field. We've got ourselves Kip Stevens right now. Kip Stevens having a fantastic race also. We go on board with him in the number 13 machine. He is up about 4 positions in this event so far. Indeed, 4 positions. I remember my stuff. Dan Blake is a little bit behind him. Benjamin Gregory is just a little bit ahead. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, you can catch the BSRTC Cup on Motors TV every other Tuesday. 2 big sim racing events on international television, the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series and the BSRTC Kia Cup is live on Motors TV in Europe. Let's have a look through your field then. Colin Conniff right now scrapping it out with Paul Smith. This is a battle for P number 5. As Paul Smith has just lost himself now. Bit of time to Alexander Shlomensky. This is the scrap for P5 as I say. Shlomensky is now 0.6 of a second ahead of Paul Smith. So your field starting to settle down just a little bit. We used to have a couple of packs, now it's more of a snake. The trolley train, if you want to call it that. But those high winds are going to be very important in this event. For those of you just joining us, they can see 16 km/h winds here today. The air temperature is 65 degrees. So at the start of this race, these guys were really moving about. But now there's some tyre temperature in. Things will get a little bit calmer until we get ourselves down to the final couple of laps in this event. We'll see the bottom of your screen, the top 8 drivers as it stands in your event so far. Shuttlebach leads it then by about half a second as they cross the stripe once again. You'll see updated times because here comes Shaplevsky. He's close. He looks to the outside. Down in towards turn 1 he comes. And the fastest lap of the day to boot there for Shaplevsky. 103.6 miles an hour. And Ross Balfour right on the rear of Shaplevsky once again. Worth remembering as the 2 Tech cars are battling for the race lead. Of course, Balfour got moved out of the way there by Shaplevsky. There's almost a 2-for-1 special. Shaplevsky there will just dance himself now back ahead. Balfour will dance himself back ahead. And this is a fantastic, absolutely fantastic scrap between these 2 guys as they come down into McLean. But all this is going to do is allow Shellback to just pull away a little bit. That number 4 Friction Racing Machine works himself in towards Copper. It's a good run out of here, and he can now try and gain some of that momentum back on the run down Starkey straight away. There the S is. Good odds. Start finish straight. This battle is the calm before the storm. They'll be okay this lap. Next lap they'll start fighting in behind. Colin Conniff versus Paul Smith. That one goes on again. We're on board then with Paul Smith in that number 21 car through Redgate, turn number 1 on this track. And in fact, actually, Colin Conniff has himself a very good run this time as they come through the crane of curves right now. Fast downhill, right-hander, left-hander, turn 2, turn 3 before they come into the old hairpin. This turn 4, which then a short straight away before they turn left, heading themselves through Starkey's grid section of this track. Is behind. Just to give you an update, George Simmons did not actually start this motor race. Steve Hefford had to come down towards pit road, get himself some repairs. 5.6 second stop is out and away. Your big story of the day though is the driver of Daniel Kraft. There you can see him down in P number 18. He has lost himself 15 spots in this motor race. He was involved in an incident at the very start. We saw the tail end of it, and as a consequence he is now classified as way down your field. If you want to know how bad, 21 seconds. No, I take that back. He actually started this race on pit road. I do apologise. He's trying to work himself now up through the field, but not really gaining much momentum as it stands. Pete Harrod, Colin Conniff, turn number 1. As we saw Ross Balfour move himself past Shaplevsky last time by, the number 1 machine wasn't able to do anything on the run in towards Redgate this last lap. But Harrod and Conniff, this is now becoming a 4-horse battle. Number 3 machine there, Alexander Shlomensky, then Paul Smith, then Colin Conniff as the car goes off, down into driver of Colin Conniff losing that position. We saw it as we were on board there with Pete Harrod, and here's second look then from on board of the driver of Colin Conniff. Have a look from up above. That, ladies and gentlemen, is your typical run over the grass, just a tiny bit, lose momentum, struggle to get back on track, and then to boot, lose yourself 2 positions because Benjamin Gregory looks himself to the inside and he completes that pass over Colin Cunniff as well. And to make matters even worse, here comes the driver of Kip Stevens. He will have the inside line in towards turn 1. What will the number 18 machine of Dan Blake do? Will he try and work with Kip Stevens? Maybe try and get that momentum going in towards turn 1. It looks as though they're going to go 3 wide. And the inside line doesn't always win the battle here. The outside line of Cunniff will do on this occasion, but Kip Stevens should now get himself a second bite of the cherry as they come down in towards Craner once again. Cunniff will hold on, but now Dan Blake right on the rear of Kip Stevens down to the inside in the old hairpin. Dan Blake's done this one so many times as they now come left into Starkey's Bridge once again, trying to hold that momentum, and Blake up to 120 miles an hour at this section of track. Not able to do it, not just yet, very close, and now Dan Blake putting the pressure on Stevens, manages to make it past, but now David Baker, he in turn wants to have a run, and he will do so. Baker will move himself up 2 positions in the space of about 3 corners. Fantastic stuff from Baker. Let's have a second look and see how that one all unfolded. We're on board then with Baker in that number 7 car. Let's listen in. Simple as that, really. Dan Blake almost finished, followed Kip Stevens off track. Didn't work, however. I'll just give you an update. It looks as though that Robin Austin has had himself an incident. Let's have a look at this one. We should see at any moment now that number 5 Club UK and Ireland car having himself a bit of issues. Of course, the front of that car is already crumpled, but it just came up on our timing scoring screens. We'll find out momentarily. They come down into the S's, and that is the number 16 machine just ahead of him. Into the corner he comes, runs over those high curves, and I'm not quite sure what Robertson has had happen to him. Oh, he has to put it off. Maybe he just got the underside there. The engine might have gone on that one, but Robin Austin is off onto the pit road. And Paul Smith has had himself an issue as well. Paul Smith has had himself an issue. A slowdown penalty. Is it going to be game over? It is game over for Paul Smith. Let's have a listen on board and see what happens to him. Ladies and gentlemen, that's called an engine explosion. Right there. Paul Smith, unfortunately, out of this event, shifting down too quickly. And well, from now on in, it is pretty much going to be game over for him. He will get that car potentially back out on track. We'll give you an update on that one for you. But Paul Smith, who is charging himself through the field, is now well down your pack. And here's your movers and shakers in the event so far. Biggest move in your top 10, that one is Dan Blake. Biggest loser in your top 10, that is David Baker as it stands right now. But Shellback continues to lead this one. We're past halfway. There we can see Ross Balfour right behind him. Down in towards the S as they come one more time. And it's worth noting that you got the 2 Alfada Tech cars there sandwiching in Ross Balfour in that number 4 machine. We go on board with Balfour. There you can see on the outside line in towards turn number 1. Not going to be able to make the pass work. Maybe going to try and have a second bite of the cherry down through Craners in towards the old hairpin. These top 3 drivers are literally separated by nothing. As you can see behind, there is Shaplevsky. He's done this one before, trying to use that chrome horn. He's going to try and do it again as they work themselves through Starkeys in towards McLean one more time. And there's that lovely run. You can see the elevation change there as they come down into Coppice turn number 8. And well, we always say Donington Park produces some great racing. It does so consistently. It's doing so again right now. We ride ourselves then on board with that number 1 machine down in towards turn number 1. Well, It's still status quo. Balfour, though, right on the rear this time, but he gets a good run through turn number 1. As we have a look there at our aerial coverage brought to you by Shelter, the official charity of RaceSpot TV. As Balfour tries and closes, not able to make the move stick, as they work themselves one more time down in towards McLean's, in towards Coppers, and there is a nice little aerial look there at the sequence of race corners. Of course, Donington was actually a track where they literally tore a lot of it up in anticipation of this Formula 1 race. And actually, there used to be a festival on the infield called Download Festival. Before that, once upon a time, it was called Monsters of Rock. For those of you who remember things the olden ways. And actually, you used to take a leak at McLean's, and then they decided to move the festival away because of the fact that they were going to put a Grand Prix race on. And it never happened. And as a result, festival goers around the world got upset because an historic infield venue got lost. And actually, they had themselves motocross on that infield for a couple of years as well. In fact, you can see the motocross track right there up on your screen just for the moment. As we have a look there at Baker versus Dan Blake. We'll go back to the racing. We'll stop the history lessons in towards 1. And they'll come. Redgate on board of Baker. Exit of 1. Picking up the speed there. Blake doing a good job. Baker trying to work himself forward positions as it stands right now. Gap from Baker to your race leader. It's about 14 seconds as it stands. This is one of the best battles we've got going on the track. Kip Stevens scrapping it out with Jay Wright, as well as here comes Baker. Looking to the outside. He'll get himself the inside line into the next corner. And it looks as though Baker, if he can just hold it now, should be able to now get the run out of the corner. You can see there, side by side battling. This is fantastic stuff. Exit of Starkey's Bridge in towards McLean. Baker does the password, and here comes the good old-fashioned crossover. Dan Blake back down to the inside, in towards Coppis, and Blake there is going to be able to make that run work. Exit of Coppis down towards the S's, and Blake will have the inside line into this corner. Breaks late, breaks deep, goes over those sausage curbs, and Blake will keep the pass for the moment, but now he moves himself to the outside, and Blake gets a slowdown penalty. Dan Blake gets a slowdown penalty. We talked about how difficult these can be if you get them in the second half of the motor race, and that is exactly what has just happened to Dan Blake. We're having a listen on board of him. That is disastrous for Blake. He lost himself 3 positions and about 4 seconds as a consequence of that one, as Pete Howard and Alexander Shramensky now go side by side. We're getting ourselves nice little pockets of racing here this afternoon, as now Shramensky versus Howard. Well, it will settle himself down for a moment, but Howard is the next driver to try and find himself past this one of Alexander Shramensky, and just absolutely failed at doing so. It looks as though that number 3 machine is fantastic at playing the role of defense. Down into the S as they come. Peter Harrod going to get himself a pretty good run. Balfour's going to get himself a very good run, actually, as this is the battle for the race lead. So we'll go and turn our attention to this one. Balfour, will he try to do the cross under on the exit of the corner? No, not just yet. Staying in line. One more time. There's your top 3 drivers. Keep the camera here just for the moment. In fact, should we? Maybe not, because here comes Ross Balfour once again. Fantastic run on the exit of Starkey's. We'll go back on board of him then. As of now, they just do that little run from McLean down in towards Coppis. And well, it does seem to be that maybe Balfour is just waiting for an opportunity rather than forcing the issue earlier on. Out of Coppis they come. Will Balfour look to the outside? Yes, he will, but if you do that, you have to brake late, unless he's going to do Nigel Mantel's cross under, which he's not going to do there. You'll see, there's a lot of curb taken by Michael Shellback there. I was wondering whether that's going to hurt him. It will hurt him. Side by side for your race lead then. Balfour is on the right-hand side of your screen. Shellback on the left-hand side. Ken Balfour working on the outside line. This is for the lead. Number 4 Friction Racing car versus the 2 Alfana Tech cars. Who's going to win out here? It will be Shellback once again. But we're going to go then and have a look. The inside line now belongs to the driver of Ross Balfour. Will he be able to find a way of making this one work? As they'll head themselves now on the exit of the old hairpin in towards Starkey's once again. This is fantastic stuff, and the Friction Racing car will move himself to the race lead there with 5 minutes 50 seconds to go. There we are, first big lead change of the day, and it was done in impressive fashion, but now it's game on. Extra coppice. What will happen now? Down Starkey straight away. There we can see a little bit of a bump, and now to the outside will go the driver of Michael Shellback. And oh, look at this, it's going to be Balfour just getting a little bit out of the shape. And the number 2 car there getting hit by his own teammate as they work themselves down towards the start-finish line. Don't take out your teammate. This ain't Austria 99. You're not Mika Hakkinen and David Coulthard. What a lunge there by Shellback. He retakes that race lead away, and out of nowhere, like Randy Orton, here comes Stephen Trepevsky. He's not going to be able to do it, but what a lunge, what a move by Michael Shellback, as he will retake, just for the moment, that race lead. That needs to go on a highlight reel, and oh, off goes Balfour under pressure. He goes off, and well, what a crazy couple of moments we've had. Let's relive it again, because that had about 4 or 5 huge passes in it that you need to have a look in some form of order. And it started as they worked themselves down this back straight away. Here, on the run down, in towards the S's. Now you want to pay attention coming out here. Here's the reason why. You'll notice the 2 teammates to come together just there. Pick up the pace again. Once again, you'll notice now that all of a sudden, Michael Shellback's just going to look all the way to the outside. He goes diving down the inside there. You see just how he got on the brakes. He just made contact a little bit with that number 4 machine. Can't hold it. For a moment, you go 3 wide. And then actually, number 1 machine, we didn't see that one there. Trepevsky, that's the second time he's made contact with Ross Balfour today. And then these 2 drivers, Friction Racing and Tech car, number 4 and number 2, they go side by side. They go at it, hammer and tongue. But then eventually, Balfour goes off. And well, he's not out of this race yet though. He's only 1 second behind these 2. A little bit of pushing. He can move himself up, but he's got to do it. 1 driver, 1 lap. There's only really 3 laps of this motor race to go from this one. So it's all still to play for. Colin Cunniff and Benjamin Gregory, by the way, that one is still going on as well. We'll turn our attentions to that one as we will just need to do something real quickly. So bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. There we are. But here we are then. This is a fantastic little 4-way scrap we've got going on. Shlomensky, P number 4, Harrod, Benjamin and Cunniff. It's the snake, ladies and gentlemen. It's the snake. So we can have a look then from the rear. This is that number 3 machine down towards the stripe. They'll come again, and Pete Harrod is trying to find a way past that number 4 machine in towards 1. And actually, they'll go side by side on the exit of 1, down through Craner curves once again, going off. Seems to be Pete Howard. It seems to be. It's the curse of getting past the number 3 machine as we go back on board with that number 12 machine. Let's go on board and let's spend a couple of corners on board of him, because this is some fantastic racing. Ladies and gentlemen, that was your 2-minute warning there. As we can see, Shellback right now has got his teammate behind him. There will be 2 laps of this. There's this lap and then 1 more to go. And here comes then number 1 machine down to the inside into turn number 1. Trepevsky doesn't want to wait. He wants to have a go now, but it's not going to work out for him. And in fact, it's going to have Balfour coming up right behind again. And there's a wiggle from the number 1 machine. What can the Friction Racing car do now as they head themselves through Old Hairpin down towards turn 5? They'll come again, and actually no. All this is done is it's allowed Shellback to now pull out a 0.7 of a second advantage with 1 minute 20 seconds to go in this motor race. Top 8, bottom of your screen as it stands. You notice your top 7 drivers separated by 5.7 seconds. That is how close this race really is. 2 lead changes here today. Will we see ourselves another one before this race is over. But as it stands, we're realistically fighting for P2 and P3. Trepleski and Balfour may have well just allowed the driver of Michael Shellback to pull away, and it'll be irreparable potentially. As there we are, white flag is out, one more lap to go, and Balfour looking to the rear, hunting, stalking as they come into one. There you can see the battle behind them as well. This is Slemensky versus Harrod versus Gregory versus Conniff. It's that four-way battle we've had going on now for the last, well, pretty much entire race, and it has been a fantastic one. Not many position changes, but it's fantastic to see just how close together these guys can run. Then Trepleski then has actually just pulled out 7/10 of a second advantage over Balfour. So this one looks as though it's going to calm itself down just for a moment. But behind David Baker, Kip Stevens, last lap of this motor race. Stevens wants a little bit of retribution. He's back up into P9. Officially, the white flag is out. Will Stevens do anything? We'll keep an eye out on that one because it is close between the two of them. But here comes Michael Shellback down towards the start-finish line for what will be the final time in this motor race into the S's. He will come for the final time, and ladies and gentlemen, the number 2 machine will win out here today at Donington Park. What a race! What a victory! Shellback will win this one, then it'll be Trepleski, and then it'll be Balfour. But I think the number 4 car may well be having a couple of words with that number 1 machine after this race is scored complete. Slemensky holds on to 4. That car looks like it had a force field around it today. Then Harrod, Gregory and Conniff just turning our attention back to see if there's any outstanding battles. Kip Stevens did find his way according to our timing scoring pass. We'll figure that one out in a moment. But there has been a fantastic race, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get ourselves quickly just a quick replay of this one if we can. We're running ourselves on board then with Kip Stevens. There you can see he gets himself a good run out of McLean's, but can he work himself down towards the end of this lap? Almost touching, but not quite. Classic touring car racing there going on between these two drivers. And at the end of this one, you can see it was close, but Stevens just wasn't able to seal the deal as they worked themselves towards the end of this motor race. But, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ourselves a look at your final race results here from Donington Park. As you can see, results now up on your screen, and Shellback wins it then because Trepleski and Balfour started fighting with 2 to go, and Trepleski arguably went a lap too early. And then Trepleski then ran a little bit wide and Balfour came into play. They allowed your race leader, Club DX driver, to pull away. Then Alexander Slemensky is in 4th. Pete Harrod in 5th. Benjamin Gregory, Colin Conniff, David Baker, Kip Stevens and Jay Wright. They round out your top 10. There are results. P number 11 through 20. Note, we only had ourselves 3 retirees here today. So great driving by all of these drivers. Everyone who finished on the lead lap as well, so you've got to give some props to them. One driver who did have himself a couple of issues, that was Paul Smith, number 21 machine. Paul, engine failure, just shifting down just a little bit too early down at the S's midway through this race, but you're actually having yourself a fantastic run before that. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I'd had a fantastic start. I don't know if you caught that, but that was one of the best starts I've ever had. And was going a good battle with Alex and Pete, and also Colin Cullinan as well. And just going down into that chicane at the end there, changed down to second like I was normally doing, and just the engine exploded. Luckily, I was close enough to the pits to pit the car, get a bit of a quick action from my mechanics, and then was able to just finish out the race. I just took it easy from there on in, and got a finish, 17th. It's disappointing after qualifying 10th mid-pack and having that such a good start. I ended up 4th at the end of the first lap.
Overall, disappointing. Next week, and a new week, new opportunities. Looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, as always. It's nice to actually get in the top split for once. So
Hey.
hopefully I can keep working away and make it more of a regular occurrence.
Well, we'll see Paul Smith, of course, so many more times here. He's also been, of course, the voice of the Gathering of Tweakers Endurance Series this season as well. So Hopefully, see him maybe doing more touring car endurance stuff. You never know. We might let him on for some races. However, that, ladies and gentlemen, is all we've got time for here today. It's been a fast-packed race. It's been a fun race. It's been an entertaining race. And when all is said and done, it shows momentum at Donington is key. Shellback wins out then. But hey, we had some controversy. We had some fun. I've been Will Vincent. We'll talk to you all next time. Good night.